Welcome to Blockbuster Tales, where movies come to life through epic breakdowns. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for your weekly dose of cinematic deep dives. Let's dive into the story.
Frank Sheeran's death left behind a trail of silence, but a new voice rises. Peggy Sheeran, now older, is haunted by her father's sins and secrets. Though she cut ties long ago, her curiosity grows when she receives a package, an old photo of Frank with Russell Buffalino and an unknown man, with a note. He wasn't the last. Something deeper lurks beneath the past. Peggy begins to investigate quietly, seeking closure or perhaps revenge. She reaches out to an old Teamsters lawyer, now disbarred, who hints that Frank wasn't the only hitman used by the Buffalino crime family. Another assassin was kept in the shadows, one who operated internationally and vanished after the 80s. Peggy's obsession deepens. Meanwhile, in Philadelphia, a retired mobster named Anthony Tony Nails Caputo lives under FBI protection. He hears rumors that someone is sniffing around old Buffalino affairs. Fearing exposure, he calls in favors from the few loyalists left. Peggy's movements don't go unnoticed, and she starts receiving anonymous threats. Peggy confronts her estranged sister Dolores, who warns her to stop digging. Dolores reveals their father confessed things even darker than what was in the book. Frank had kept a ledger, a kill book detailing jobs for the mob, names, dates, locations. It was never found. Peggy is convinced this ledger still exists. She visits an aging Jimmy Hoffa biographer, who tells her Frank's ledger might be hidden in one of the safe houses used in Detroit. He gives her an old address where Frank spent weeks before a major mob operation. Peggy travels there, but the house is under surveillance. Someone else is looking for the same thing. Inside the house, she finds a hidden compartment, but no ledger. Only a torn page and an old revolver. The page references an Operation Pine Dust, a mob-coded mission tied to a political figure from the Reagan era. The note implies the killing was orchestrated to protect someone in government. In the shadows, the FBI quietly reopens an investigation into Buffalino-linked political assassinations. Peggy is brought in for questioning, but remains guarded. An agent offers her a deal. Help them uncover the remaining pieces of the ledger, and they'll protect her. She refuses, wary of getting caught in deeper waters. Tony Nails sends a younger enforcer to trail Peggy. This man, Vito Mancini, becomes intrigued by her courage and decides to approach her. He warns her about Tony, saying the old men are more dangerous now that their legacy is threatened. He claims to want out of the mob life and offers to help her. Peggy and Vito form an uneasy alliance. Vito brings her to an old bar in Brooklyn where many Buffalino meetings happened. Hidden in the attic is a rusted lockbox containing cassettes, Frank's voice, tape confessions meant for someone named P. One of the tapes details a hit on a union leader never reported. The deeper they go, the more they realize how expansive the Buffalino influence was. From unions to the White House, the mob's reach affected historical events in covert ways. Peggy listens to her father's cold recounting of killings, some involving high-ranking government officials. Her disgust is matched by fear. Tony Nails, growing paranoid, orders a hit on Vito and Peggy. Vito is wounded in a shootout, but survives. Peggy takes him to a safe location in Buffalo, where she learns he once worked as a cleaner for the CIA-linked arm of the mob. Vito admits the government used mobsters for dirty overseas jobs. As she nurses Vito back to health, Peggy is contacted by a documentary filmmaker obsessed with the Irishman's legacy. He offers her protection and funding in exchange for exclusive access. Reluctantly, she agrees. The tapes, the revolver, the torn page, they begin to form a puzzle that points to something bigger. One of the tapes mentions a plot to kill a journalist in the 70s who was writing about mob ties to the Vietnam War draft evasion schemes. Peggy finds the journalist's daughter, now a professor, who confirms her father vanished without a trace. She agrees to help Peggy expose the full truth. Meanwhile, FBI agents tail Tony Nails and raid one of his properties, uncovering weapons, photos, and references to Operation Pine Dust. Tony is arrested but keeps quiet. In prison, he learns about Peggy's alliance with the FBI and vows to destroy her reputation before he dies. Vito reveals the final piece. Frank's ledger was mailed to a priest in Chicago, someone he trusted with his soul before dying. Peggy contacts the church, only to find the priest has Alzheimer's. However, a nun hands her a sealed envelope marked for P.S. It's the ledger, Frank's complete confession. As the truth comes out, newspapers explode with headlines linking the Buffalino family to unsolved murders and government cover-ups. Peggy is offered book deals and interviews, but she remains distant, disillusioned by the blood-soaked legacy of her father and the country's complicity. Tony Nails dies in prison under suspicious circumstances. Some believe it was a mob hit. Vito disappears, leaving only a note for Peggy. The past is yours now. Burn it or build from it. She stands over her father's grave, conflicted, holding the ledger one last time. She decides to donate all evidence to a museum dedicated to victims of organized crime. Her family's history is no longer a secret, but a cautionary tale. Peggy, scarred yet empowered, walks away from the cemetery with no plans of returning to that world. In the final moments, we see a young journalist reading Frank's ledger in the museum. His face shows shock as he flips a page that hints at one final, hidden truth. The real reason Jimmy Hoffa disappeared was not loyalty, but betrayal at the highest level. As the credits roll, Frank Sheeran's voice echoes from one of the tapes. I chose to be loyal to the wrong man. And now, even in death, I can't wash the red off my hands. The screen fades to black, leaving the audience with a haunting silence. The journalist, shaken by what he read in the final pages of Frank's ledger, contacts a retired intelligence analyst who had once been stationed in D.C. during the Hoffa investigation. Together, they piece together a theory that Hoffa's disappearance was sanctioned not just by the mob, but quietly encouraged by elements within the government who feared his resurgence. The ledger's last entry includes a coded location, believed to be where Hoffa's body was hidden, miles away from the sites long searched. Peggy, now living in solitude in a quiet part of upstate New York, is contacted by the journalist with his findings. At first, she's hesitant to re-engage, having already buried the past. But when he tells her that this final truth could vindicate Hoffa's legacy and reveal her father's final betrayal, she agrees to one last journey. Together, they travel to the site, a remote forest cabin once owned by a Buffalino associate. At the location, they uncover a concrete foundation beneath a broken shed. With the help of local authorities and forensic experts, remains are discovered, decades old but matched to Hoffa through dental records. The discovery makes international headlines. Peggy stands at a press conference, refusing to speak. She simply nods as flashbulbs go off. And in that moment, the last ghost of Frank Sheeran's past is finally laid to rest.